Jesse Ventura is our guest. Of course, #1 New York Times bestseller as well. His new book, I think, is one of the best I've ever read, DemoCRIPS and ReBLOODlicans. No more gangs in government. We're going to be breaking that down first today. Then we're going to talk about the good news. That's right. They announced last week we had Tyrell, his son, on as one of the producers of the show and one of the stars of the third season with Sean Stone, Oliver Stone's son. They're finally going to air it. I thought they weren't after, blocking it airing for about 8-9 months. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about al-Qaeda being put in Libya and Syria. Now we've got to invade because they're blowing up our embassies and killing people. And then we'll also get into his take on the New World Order being announced openly. We're going to play some clips of the news saying that and get his take on 2012 and all this hubbub. Jesse, great to have you back with us.
Hi, Alex. Always a pleasure.
It's just good to have you here now. It's good to hear your voice. Wow, I tell you, your book...
Yours too.
Your book couldn't come out at a better time. Tell us, I mean, I've read it. It's an excellent book, but tell us why you wrote this new bestseller.
Well, I wrote it because I want people to understand that we have a completely broken system created by the Democrats and Republicans. It's a system based completely on bribery. If you do bribery in the private sector, of course, you go to jail. But it's alive and well in our political arena because that's how it works. If you don't grease the palm of the congressman or senator, you're not going to get an audience with them. It's all money talks and you know what else walks.
Well, you're right about that, and it's becoming more and more evident that Romney and Obama are bought and paid for by the same interests. So where do you see it going, once one of these stooges gets back in and the globalists just continue this takeover?
Well, I think it'll just continue on. That's the thing, when they always like to tell you if you vote for a third-party candidate, you're wasting your vote. You've heard that, Alex?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to reverse that and say that if you vote for a Democrat or Republican, you're wasting your vote because you're going to get the same government. It does not matter with these two. As you stated, they're both bought and paid for. If you go to their two conventions, you'll see the same lobbyists there with trunks full of money paying them all off. And so it makes no difference who wins because we will have the same policies. And I fully expect as soon as the election's over that within a year or so we're going to be at war in Iran.
Let's get into that right now because we were talking before we went on air about the fact that they admittedly put al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria. NATO's funding them, and then the Wahhabis shoot up and kill the ambassador. They're attacking our embassies, and now they're dispatching Marines and warships and Predator drones to deal with the Saudi Arabian jihadis our government put in there. I mean, this is even crazy for the New World Order.
Well, everyone likes to hold Ronald Reagan up on that pillar. And let's go back to Ronald Reagan. You remember when the Marines were attacked in Lebanon that time and they killed at the barracks? They killed like 200 of them?
Yes.
Did Ronald Reagan start a war? Absolutely not. He got the hell out of there. And that's my view on this. If these countries don't want us there, then let's leave. And let's leave with our foreign aid. I can't believe today, there's where I stand with Ron Paul completely. We need to cut off foreign aid to any foreign country, and we need to do it for not only those reasons, but the economic reasons. Alex, our country's broke. Now, let's put that in layman's terms. It would be like if you were losing your house because you couldn't make mortgage payments, and you're going to lose your car because you can't make car payments, and yet your cousin Joe from California calls you and needs $500, and you send it to him. Our country's broke. How can we possibly give out foreign aid?
But as you covered in your TV show with the Wall Street Insiders, they're just loaning us fiat made-up digits, so why not get us in more debt? The big mega banks, they stand to gain by countries being in debt.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, as far as on a political front, if I became president, there would be no foreign aid. I would close every international base and bring all our troops home. And I would have courage enough to carve into that defense budget because it is so bloated. You notice that when they talk about cutting government and cutting government spending, it's never the defense budget, is it?
And how many countries do we have troops in? It's like 165.
Yeah, it's absurd. We're an empire, and every empire falls. I mean, you'd think somebody would read the history of the Roman Empire and realize, wait a minute, we're going right down that path ourselves, and there's no difference to it. Why is it going to be any different now?
You're right.
And if these countries don't want us there, these Muslim countries, then let's get the hell out of there. But see, that's just it. We're there because our corporations want to be there. And the corporations run the United States of America now. It ain't the politicians that call the shots. It's corporate board heads that do it.
And it's total corporate welfare that multinational corporations give paltry sums of money to politicians, and then they commit our money, our treasure, our blood, our young men and women to go into these countries and then antagonize all these people. It's just amazing, and we're paying for all of it.
You know what's in my book, Alex?
I've read it.
Get this. Did you know that most of the big multinational corporations spend more money on lobbyists than they pay in taxes?
Yes.
Isn't that outrage? They spend more money on lobbying and getting our elected officials into their back pocket than what they do paying taxes to our government to run it. We pay the taxes, and they make the decisions.
What do you see happening? I mean, I understand it's rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, but it looks to me like Romney is probably going to end up getting in there. What's your take on that statement?
Oh, I don't think so. Not after the blunder he made today. The latest polls now have Obama ahead 50-43.
I did see that.
Because Romney turned it political and attacked Obama when this tragedy happened to over in Libya and all that stuff, where they should have worked to bring the country together. And instead, Romney went ahead and drove the axe through to divide, and he blamed it all on Obama and all of that. And the public reacted very negative. Even a lot of the bigwigs in his own Republican Party said he blew it. And the latest polls now show Obama with a strong 7-point lead.
Sure. Well, that's John McCain. John McCain went with this ambassador to actually stir it all up over there and fund al-Qaeda going in. So he has a stake in this not coming out. I'm not defending Romney, but the issue here is, it was Mr. Peace Prize that has helped start all these wars using jihadis. And so I can see why the power structure doesn't like the fact that Romney brought that up. But I agree with you. Romney was pulling ahead until this new event, but election is still, 50-something days away.
Yeah, it is. And, but I'll tell you what, if I can't believe the short memory people have. I mean, everything's about the economy and jobs, right? That's the big thing that they think the election's over.
Yes.
Well, who ruined the economy? It was the Republicans. They were the ones that took the handcuffs off Wall Street and allowed them to rape and pillage us. And George Bush and Dick Cheney are responsible for all the wars and the bad economy. In fact, and I'm not an Obama supporter, don't get me wrong. I despise
No, but they're all guilty. You're right. No, I mean, they're all guilty. When they point fingers at each other, it's a joke.
But Alex, how do they think the Republicans are going to save the economy when it was the Republicans that initially ruined it? They don't, the lemmings out there don't even have a memory that goes back over a year. I said to my wife in the 2008 election, I said, I wouldn't want to be the next president for anything because whoever it is going to get all the blame for what George Bush and Dick Cheney did.
No, you said that on this.
That's exactly the way it's working.
Governor, you said that on this show. You said that, Obama is going to get, obviously the blame for everything. Even George Bush said that, hey, I don't think Obama's going to be the type that complains and says, poor me. When Obama was president-elect, Bush was in a press conference and basically pointed out that Obama was going to get the blame for everything.
Oh, yeah. And our idiot memories of the people of this country, they can't think back that far. They got about a year that they can remember. And they don't realize that it was Bush that did the first bailout. It was Bush that started all the wars. People need to understand this, and I speak from experience here. On the economy, it's decisions made about 4 years ago that affect it today. So when the economy went sour in 2008, it was decisions made back in 2003 3, 4, and 5 that caused that to happen in '08. It does not happen overnight, because it's so big and large that it takes about 3 years or 4 years for decisions to have their impact on the economy.
Well, I agree with you, but expanding on that, being a former governor, former mayor, talk show host, author, a lot of life experience, Governor Ventura, what is your take on the future of this country? We have 1.4 billion bullets bought by Homeland Security in the last 11 months. The media spins it and says it's about 174,000 bullets for Social Security. They won't even address it. They've got TSA now in all 50 states on the highways, train stations, and bus stations starting to pop up. We've got the military admitting they're preparing for civil unrest. What do you think they're gearing up for?
I don't know. Obviously something very bad, and we'll transition to my TV show now, if we may, which will tie into this. The new season starts November 7th, 10 Eastern, 9 Central on True TV. And one of the interesting shows we show you this year is in Ozark, Missouri. There's a complete underground city. We discovered it.
And I've really wanted to investigate that. I'm glad you guys did. All over the country, the elites are building these underground cities and bunkers, even private ones. And I know some of the amazing findings, but I don't know how much we can say. How much can you tell us about it?
Well, one of the interesting things, here's an interesting thing we found out in Ozark, Missouri. Now, the only new construction there, except for this big 72,000 square foot single family dwelling on top of a hill that led us there, that's another story. But the only new things happening in this little town in Missouri is the only thing being built are banks, tons of banks. And we found the statistics, and it goes something like this. There's one bank for every 11,000 people in New York City. There's one bank for every 9,000 people in Los Angeles. In Ozark, Missouri, there's now one bank for every 51 people.
Incredible.
Now, how can 51 people support a bank?
They can't.
Not unless they're all multimillionaires.
That's right, and if it's an alternate government facility.
But we found that very interesting. A lady there said the only new things we have in this town, she said, I can't figure it out. It's all banks. She said, we've got 6 or 7 new banks that have moved here, and yet our and then we found out those statistics that there's now one bank for every 51 people in Ozark, Missouri.
Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura is with us, one of my favorite guests and a friend of mine. Wow, Jesse, so much that you've talked about, that I've talked about, is just now out in the open. I want to get more into the TV show when we come back from break, but just what is your take on the fact that they just admit the NSA spies on us now? They just admit the TSA's now dragging little kids off to private rooms. I mean, how much crazier is this going to get? The drones are now getting armed.
Alex, it'll get as crazy as we allow it to get.
That's right.
And we seem to sit back. We're not listening to Ben Franklin. When Benjamin Franklin said the famous quote, "For those that will give up their liberty for security shall have and deserve neither."
That's right.
And we better start listening to what Mr. Franklin said, or it's going to be too late. All those people out there that think the government can make you safe, are you kidding me? The only way government can make you safe is to lock you down. I always remember a cartoon I saw on a couple months back. It showed a mom and a dad and a brother and a sister sitting at the dinner table, and the caption, they all said, "Gee, I sure feel safe now." And then the cartoon backs away and they're inside a jail cell.
You know, you've always, in the 7-8 years I've known you, said basically, I'd rather face the danger. Security is a prison. And I don't know if you knew this, but I was wondering where you got that, because I thought you would come up with that, and it made perfect sense. Turns out Eisenhower, guys, pull up the quote during the break, Eisenhower said exactly that in a speech in 1949 to a university. Alex Jones here with a very important announcement for truth seekers. We've carried a lot of amazing films and books over the years on the online video bookstore at Infowars.com. And out of all the titles we've carried, one stands out because it is just so chillingly convincing. And that's Dreams from My Real Father by Joel Gilbert, available at Infowars.com. This film exposes the fraud that Obama is like nothing I've seen. If you want to know who Obama's real daddy is, this is the film for you. Don't forget, your purchase supports our broadcast and our growing media network. You'll also find at InfoWarsShop.com, None Dare Call a Conspiracy by Gary Allen, the book that woke me up. We're also carrying Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21 by Rosa Corey. This book is coffin nails to the globalist takeover. The Greater Good, the most professional and up-to-date film I've ever seen exposing the scourge that is vaccines. These titles and a lot more are all available at InfoWarsShop.com. His new book, DemoCRIPS and ReBLOODlicans, is available. No More Gangs in Government. Excellent book at InfoWarsStore.com. I carry all the best books and videos there on the site. We carry his last two books, American Conspiracies and 63 Documents the Government Doesn't Want You to Read, which is probably my favorite because it's all the little factoids and photos and documents. All those at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsShop.com will also get you there. But his books are in bookstores everywhere as well. And sure, you may know all this stuff for a lot of it. Get the book, read it, then give it to a friend. That's how we're going to wake people up. And there certainly is an awakening. I think that's what the police state buildup is in response to. So, Governor, let's talk about the show. I mean, it got held up for 7-8 months. Give us your take on why that happened. Now it's back on Wednesdays, which we think, obviously, I think you agree is a better night. And then give us a sneak peek on some of the other episodes that are going to be in there.
Well, you know, I can't tell you why it got held up, Alex. We finished them on time in November of last year like we always do, and all they said was it was editing. And they dragged their feet, and then they finally got around. And 2 weeks ago, I went and did my voiceover work on 4 of them, and I still have to get back and do voiceover on the final 3. But, you know, I'll do them probably as the show starts breaking on television or whatever, or right before in October or whatever, so they'll be done on time. But I can't tell you why they waited that long. Maybe it's because they wanted to release it during the election cycle. I don't know. You know, maybe that was what they had in mind. They never told me why we weren't normally on in the winter like we always are, but I don't mind being on in the fall right now. I think it's a great time slot that they moved us back to Wednesday. It was a huge mistake when they moved us from Wednesday to Friday. Friday's the worst night you could ever have on the second year. But now we're back to Wednesday at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, and we're doing some pretty wild shows. We do one that's very interesting. Does the United States have a death ray?
And, of course, that gets into Tesla.
Show. We also do one on, are they trying to create a humanity, meaning a half-monkey, half-man person? So there's some wild stuff that we look into this year, and I have a new team on board. We brought on Sean Stone, who is the son of Oliver Stone, the great film producer, and Sean's a graduate of Princeton University, a very, very bright kid, and he fits perfect into our show because it's right down his alley because he's a huge studier of the Illuminati and all that stuff. He knows it inside and out.
Oh, he has amazing understanding, getting a chance to hang out with him quite a bit there on the shoots. And, of course, Tyrell's knocking it out of the park as well. I just can't wait to see the episodes because, I mean, I was there in part of some of the investigations, but I haven't seen any of it. Have you seen any of it?
Yeah, I've seen 4 shows, the ones I voiced over. Yeah, I've seen them completely right now, what they'll be, except minus my voiceover and a few small little edits that they'll have to do to tighten it up a little bit. But I've seen 4 of the shows, and 3 of them I have not seen yet.
What would you say about this season compared to the other seasons?
I'd say this season it's even more bizarre, and I think this season's going to be even more entertaining for people to watch because we also get into your buddy Ike. Ike, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I wish you guys wouldn't have got into it. Tell us what happened.
Well, you know, I wouldn't have did it except it was on Time Magazine's top 10 conspiracies. I mean, people believe this, and, you know, we're also there to show the conspiracy, but we're also there to show if the conspiracy we believe is a fraud. You know, we play both sides of the
street. So you don't believe the Queen is a 5.5-foot reptoid?
Do I believe it?
Yeah.
No. But I'll tell you, it's very intriguing and entertaining, Alex, because you know, when you go back to ancient times, why do wall carvings and pictures on caves and stuff all show reptiles who walk upright?
No, I know. It's kind of like the movie.
It's very intriguing. And if you look at the birth of Christianity, okay, how did Christianity start? Allegedly, according to the Bible, a man, a woman, and a talking snake. Well, a snake's a reptile, isn't it? And then when you get into the fact that all of our brains have a certain small portion that's reptilian, which means to tell me I believe in evolution, that means that we were the same if you go back far enough. Well, who's to say that they died off or not?
Jesse, maybe you are a reptoid shapeshifter.
Well, I don't know. I could always swim pretty good, and reptiles usually can swim.
Hey, I was inviting you down here to Barton Springs. You'd love it. Tell us about the surfing.
Well, the surfing is fine. My wife's now doing a lot of paddle surfing. She's doing it more than I am. Wait till you hear this one, though, Alex. This beats all in the United States of America. In Minnesota, right, you have to license a surfboard. Can you believe that? And they require you to wear a life jacket. Now, if Laird Hamilton, the greatest big wave surfer in the world who rides 40-foot waves, and he also paddle surfs, if he came to Minnesota to do a lesson thing or whatever, he would be required to license his surfboard and wear a life jacket.
That's something I want to get your take on. Because this nanny state is their real takeover system. Now, where they're not letting children run at school recess, they've gotten rid of dodgeball, touch football, and now in a suburb of Houston in the country, a woman in a rural area on a cul-de-sac, her kids were riding on bicycles and scooters. The police arrested her and said kids cannot be in a cul-de-sac. I mean, this nanny state is pure tyranny.
It's awful. There's a reason I was governor, Alex. You know why?
Why?
I figured out the way around it in Minnesota. When I was there to practice, I bought surfboards, and I did not license my surfboards. You know how I got around it? Well, when you license it, you have to give them an address. Well, I gave them my address in Mexico. So I didn't have to license my boards. And the guy said, yep, that'll work. He said, as long as the address you give me on the sales thing is outside of the state of Minnesota, you do not have to pay for a license.
And people should always look for those loopholes because the establishment always puts those in there for themselves. I was buying a small one-man tiny kayak for one of my children at Academy a few months ago, and they got in my face, not rudely, but, hey, the state police want this. You need to register this. And I said, is it the law? And they said, no, but the police want it. And I said, what, am I going to use it to blow up the dam? And I said, fine, I'm not buying it. And they said, fine, you're not getting it. I started walking out, and the manager goes, no, you can have it. And Governor, we're talking about a $200 little cheap plastic kayak. I mean, what type of country is this where they want me to register my kayak?
The same country that I have to register a surfboard. and get this, Alex, there's no serial numbers on a surfboard. So therefore, how do they know the license of this surfboard even belongs to it?
What about saying you got to wear a life preserver?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. If you showed up on the beaches of Hawaii, the beaches of California, or the beaches of Mexico, the surf beaches, if you were wearing a life jacket, they'd probably string you up.
Well, listen, I was down at the Texas coast just 3-4 months ago for one of my parents' birthdays. They wanted to go down there. And it was a total nanny state. Now they have like these beach rangers coming up and harassing you and saying, look out if you go back in there, there's rattlesnakes. And I've been going in there my whole life and never had any interaction. Now it's total interaction over and over again, like it was a comedy.
Alex, why do you think I live half the year in Mexico? Mexico doesn't bother you with nonsense like that. If you go out and kill yourself doing something, well, the Mexican people, they're very religious. They will probably say a prayer for you, and they will feel bad for you, but ultimately they're going to say, what a knucklehead he was. Why did he do that?
Exactly, but that's what I'm talking about. But to finish the brief story, I actually saw people henpecking each other because now all the dogs, including Labradors, in lakes and in the ocean are wearing these big life jackets. And I saw a woman come over to people that had some dogs and said, you ought to have your dog in a life jacket. This new nanny state where people come and tell you what to do, not just the cops. What is going on in this country?
Well, you know, I can only go back to the water, Alex. Everybody's drinking fluoridated water, which, of course, we all know fluoride is the major ingredient to Prozac. And that's the only answer I can give you. They're dumbing themselves down, and they're getting all docile because they're drinking Prozac water.
By the way, they call you a conspiracy theorist for having that incredible episode, one of my favorite last year on that, Governor Ventura. But the Harvard study came out 2 months ago, and they looked at more than 20 studies and said it's conclusive. Fluoride, sodium fluoride in the water, it's actually an acid. They remove an electron, so it's worse. That's why it's so bad. It is toxic, it causes cancer, and it lowers IQ massively. So it's not debatable now. So why is it still in our water, Governor?
Exactly. Well, why did they put it in the water in the first place? When you find out the Nazis were the first ones to put fluoride in the water. So we're following some beautiful Nazi-type thinking. Exactly.
I want to know why in Austin, where I live, because I've seen the film, when doctors go and speak to the council, the mayor laughs at them. I mean, I'm telling you, it is outrageous that they're doing this to us, and they think it's funny.
I don't know. You got me. And well, Brainerd, Minnesota voted their city council to not fluoridate the water. The federal government came in and made them.
Yeah, and since when are the feds doing that in New Jersey, Minnesota, and Texas? I've seen now where the feds are ordering it.
Oh, absolutely. Brainerd, Minnesota, their mayor and council voted that their public water, that they did not want fluoride in their water, and the federal government came in and told them, oh, no, you're putting fluoride in the water. So you don't even get a choice anymore.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it is just such tyranny that we're seeing. Speaking of that, I want to go to a few phone calls, Governor.
Before you do, though, Alex, I got hot news for you, and I'll tell you this for all your listeners.
Please.
I stated that if a grassroots campaign took place across America, grassroots, and didn't cost any money, if they got me ballot access in all 50 states, and if the grassroots campaign could guarantee that I would be in the debates, that I will give serious consideration 2016 of running for president.
Are you breaking that here?
Pretty well. I've said it a couple places, but you're pretty well. They're all the same day, so you're hearing it the same day.
Wow. Well, thank you for announcing that, because our show's...
So it's up to the people of the United States of America. If they want to across this great land of ours, get me ballot access in all 50 states, and then raise enough hell to ensure that I get... Look at it this way, Alex. They always tell us that competition is tremendous in the private sector, right? It's good to have competition. How come there's no competition in the public sector? Why do we only get two choices? Why for 20 years have we not seen a third voice in a presidential election?
Okay, Governor, let me stop you. This is a big deal. We've been talking for 40 minutes here, and now you drop this bombshell on us. So I want to officially have your statement here. So let me give you the floor for a few minutes. Please start over and make the announcement, because my show's big enough that it'll probably end up breaking nationally here that you say it on this show. So, Governor Ventura, please make your announcement.
Well, I said that if a grassroots effort, not a money effort, I don't want millions of dollars raised, and I don't want to do all that. But if there's a grassroots blue-collar effort out there and people do the legwork to get Jesse Ventura on the 2016 ballot for president, and if they can likewise guarantee me, because I've got to be in the debates, I won't do it if I can't have an opportunity to win. And the only way you can have an opportunity to win is you must be included in the debates. If they can guarantee me the debates and guarantee me ballot access in all 50 states, I will give very strong consideration to running for president in 2016 as a complete independent with no party.
Wow, so you're announcing here today on the radio that you will run for president. That's amazing, because we've all been disheartened by the fact that Ron Paul didn't go third party, that he didn't challenge Mitt Romney more, as we've now learned from one of their campaign people, that they made the decision not to do that in Michigan months and months and months ago. And we need somebody third party to inject real issues.
Well, I don't want to even be a third party, Alex. I'm talking about Jesse Ventura Governor Ventura as an individual, not even a party. Me as an individual. Because my book advocates the abolishment of political parties. So I do not want to be aligned with any party.
So you are a 100% independent, and you're saying get ballot access in...
Get me ballot access in all 50 states, and I think Puerto Rico. Don't they vote too?
Yes. What's the time frame on that, though?
To get me ballot access in all 50 states to where I'll be on the ballot in all 50 states and guarantee me that I can participate in the debates. I will then give heavy consideration to running when I see that's in place.
When did you make this decision that you would throw your hat in the 2012 presidential race?
2016.
But
the 2016 one, not this one.
No, I understand that. But, I mean, when did you make the decision in 2012?
Well, I just kept looking at the whole situation and realizing that something needs to be done to defeat and destroy this two-party, as Ralph Nader put it, the two-party dictatorship. And and again, I'm up for challenges, and I think it would be just a wild affair to actually be a legitimate candidate for president and be part of no political party.
Well, we need someone who's got the personality, the background, and the understanding to do it, and there is no one out there. Ron Paul is going to be too old. There's no one else who even has the integrity. You know, I don't agree with every single one of your political stances, but I know that you're a real guy who cares about freedom and who can't be bought. I mean, I've studied what you did as governor, why the whole system came after you, why the whole media turned against you, and it was because you couldn't be bought by special interest, and that's what we need, is somebody with integrity. So that's very, very exciting, Governor. So you're saying...
You know what's interesting, Alex? When I was governor, I didn't accept any PAC money or anything at all, no special interest money. Did you know for 4 years in office, I never met once with a lobbyist? Lobbyists were banned from my office. I told my staff, I said, I don't need to meet with a lobbyist. I said, they didn't elect me, so therefore they get no audience with me.
Jesse Ventura is our guest. We have a final segment straight ahead. Take a few calls with him here on the other side. So you heard it. We're already looking up to 2016, which will be here in about 5 minutes. I tell you, the years go by so fast. So that's exciting. We're going to hold you to it and try to get a movement going out there to get you ballot access. Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about 1.5 years ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of longevity products. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with InfoWarsTeam.com. I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals, but the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com, sign up as a distributor, and get wholesale pricing discounts at InfoWarsTeam.com. Governor Jesse Ventura says he'll run for president if people get him on the ballot 2016. That's 4 years away, so that's pretty big news right there. He's saying he's strong consideration. But talking to him during the break, he's pretty darn serious about it, so that's exciting. What's your take on the whole war on terror, Gov? I saw a recent quote of yours.
Well, I think the terrorists have won pretty well because they've certainly changed the United States of America since 9/11. I mean, we're not the same country, Alex. We're locked down now. We've lost many of our freedom rights, and it keeps going in that direction. It's not getting better. They're not backing off on locking us down. They're even taking it farther and farther in a harder lockdown, and I'm trying to figure out why.
Well, that latest interview you did with Joy Behar is up at Infowars.com, where you basically broke all of that down. Let's go ahead and take a few calls real quick. Ernest in Washington, you're on the air with Governor Ventura. Then we'll go to John. Go ahead, Ernest.
Well, what a pleasure to speak to two American patriots. Your announcement, Governor, has got my adrenaline going through the roof, so I'm so excited I can't even tell you.
Well, thank you, Ernest. I appreciate that. Like I said, it's going to be a tough road to hoe because, you know, the Democrats and Republicans are going to probably challenge everything in court, and they're going to do all this stuff because, as I said, they don't want competition in the public sector. They certainly tell you they enjoy it in the private sector, but we haven't had a third voice in a debate for 20 years now, and I think that's utterly ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yes, I voted for that person.
Ernest, any quick questions?
Yes. I was wondering if you could just comment quickly on the list that Wesley Clark brought up that we've gone through a lot of the countries already, with the last one being Iran.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a plan. They're stirring up the Muslims with this CIA-produced film. That's a good question, Governor.
Yeah, well, you know, it doesn't surprise me because the neocons, that was part of their plan. They're nailing every country that used to be a Soviet satellite. Any country that was aligned anyway with the Soviets back in the Cold War, the wars have been in every one of those countries. I mean, it's like clockwork.
That's right. It's all part of a plan, too, but they always have a new excuse, but it's all planned out. John, listening on 770 AM WAIS in Ohio. John, you're on the air with Governor Ventura.
Hey, Governor Ventura, I've loved you since you were wrestling. I loved you as governor because I think you were one of the only ones that had the balls to look at these people and tell them they were wrong. I thank you for that.
I don't know about that. Maybe the stupidity.
I just wanted to ask you, you know, I got one question for you, and then I got two statements for Alex.
Real fast, buddy. We got about a minute and a half here.
Okay, yeah. First question was, why do you think Oliver Stone went so soft on Bush in that movie he did? You know, there were so many real scandals there.
That's a great question. Next question. What's the other one?
And next question was, I just got the movie America. It was an old movie from the 80s about the Soviets.
Listen, he's got to go. He's got to go. We got another interview, so let's answer that question. Oliver Stone's George Bush Worship Fest is a pro 9/11 thing, you know, that goes along with the official story.
Well, again, Oliver's kind of, in a little way, kind of sold out because he wants to keep working. You know, so I think he's kind of moved away from all the controversial stuff in the film works and the film direction he's going now. You know, his son Sean would be the better person to ask about that rather than me. You know, I'm just giving you kind of a far-reaching opinion. I don't really know. You know, Sean Stone, his son, would be the better person to ask. And he did tell me at one point that his father had kind of felt that he needed a change of pace. You know, he needed to go a new direction. And I can understand that because Oliver Stone's taken a lot of grief for some of the great film work he's done.
He also has been arrested a few times, and magically, if you don't play ball, goodbye. Goodbye, sunshine. You're going to go underground in one of their boxes. Jesse Ventura, Governor, great having you on with us, and I'm glad the TV show's going to air coming up in November. And you said you'll come back in a few weeks. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you, Alex. Have a great one, and hi to everybody, all your listeners out there. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.